always like to start out talking about Blackboard by talking about browsers, because Blackboard, being the website that we're going to use for our course, is really seen through the eyes of the browser. And in this case, I'm looking at it through the eyes of Internet Explorer. And that analogy is actually really true if you think about that we have 4 major browsers, and that websites can look different through the eye of these browsers, and they can actually behave differently as well. That's why one of the things you'll hear me talk about in this class is, you may need to try a different browser. If something doesn't work in one browser, try another browser. Because in our current technology world, we view and use so much of our computers really through a browser. That's why there's 4 popular ones, but of course the most popular one is Internet Explorer. And you can look at the statistics, but really it makes up, I think the last time I saw a statistic, 85% of most web users use Internet Explorer. And that's because it comes installed on a computer. People don't think about it. Part of this class is to get you to actually think about the different browsers and why you might want to use, and as I move over to Firefox, a different browser. Because I'm trying to make it funny here, but many of you may understand what I'm trying to say here is that I use Firefox primarily if I can. But you know what? It's really not, it's a personal preference these days, because the truth is, and this is a wonderful thing about what Fresno City has done this semester, is that we've upgraded our Blackboard, and now for the most part all 4 browsers are pretty well supported in Blackboard. And we'll go look at a statistic in a minute, but I have to say this, it depends on the browser you're using, right? Because even though I'm going to use the most current version of Internet Explorer, there are version 8, which is the most current, version 7, version 6. And each of them, again within just the Internet Explorer, will have a very different experience of Blackboard. Okay, so by the way, if you ever want to know, in each browser somewhere, it's not all the same, you can come up to the help and do about, in this case Internet Explorer, to see the version you're using. And I recommend, when at all possible, unless you've been told otherwise, use the most current browsers for the type of browser that you want to use. Okay, so having said that and set that tone, now I'd like to show you that Blackboard actually does recommend particular browsers. And this leads to a good discussion just of some general aspects. First is that, notice that link up here, Blackboard 24/7 support. Here's the number, good number to know. So if I want to go into this, notice what's going to happen. I click on it, it takes me to that page within that current tab. Okay, so these are tabbed. If you haven't heard that term, tabbed browsing, it's really the way we've used current browser technology. So let me go back, because I want to show you what I will recommend throughout this course that you attempt to do, which is this: right click, open in a new tab. Now what this does is it gives you the ability to click on here, which is the support, do whatever you need to do here, and then move back to where you were so that you can continue working on something else. Now where this will play itself out in our course, which I'll go into in a minute, is that let's say you have some instructions from me on one tab and you have the work you're doing on another, then you can just move back and forth. So let's learn also a new keyboard, because I think keyboard shortcuts are great. So I'm going to hold down the control and I'm going to hit tab. So I'm not using my mouse. Notice my mouse is staying stationary. Control tab moves me through the current tabs that I have open. Alright, so hopefully you pick up some stuff as you go along that you find useful. Now, in here you can chat with Blackboard. So you might wonder, well, what situation would I need to chat with them? Well, I don't know. It depends on your computer, your browser, your internet connection, what you're trying to accomplish. Obviously I'm here to support you as much as I can, but there may be times I say, you know what, contact support. So you can do that. You can either chat with them, you can search their knowledge base, which I do often. Not necessarily something you might have to do, but I just want you to know it's there. And really what I want to show you is this concept right here, which is Blackboard. Of course, it's taken me a couple of clicks to get here. shows us, if I scroll down, based on the operating system. So if you have not heard this term operating system, or what's called OS, that is the computer's system that it's running. So in this case, Windows computers, or Windows operating system, not Windows computers, that's my bad. Actually, we call them PCs or Macs. So those are the two most common platforms, is PCs running Windows and Macs running Mac OS. And in this case, let's see. This is what Blackboard is telling us. Here are the various versions of Windows that most people are using. Right? A lot of people still using XP, some people using Vista, and many using Windows 7 now because it's the latest one out, and it's getting much better reviews, and I have found it to be better than Vista. But, you know, if you're using Vista, no problem. So then you come over here and you look at Internet Explorer, version 8, version 7, Firefox. Remember, I was talking about Internet Explorer and Firefox, and then the different versions. And you can see that to get the best experience, you'd want something that's certified. So I could be using version 8 on Vista. I could be using version 8 on Windows 7. I could be using version 3.6 for Firefox. And then if I'm on a Mac, I could use Safari. So I think the point is this: what browser do you like to use? Attempt to use that. If you run into any issues, switch browsers, right? Because again, the benefit this semester, and I'm going to go ahead and close this out, is that as a campus, we've converted to the latest version of Blackboard, so it makes it much easier. All right, so the other thing about this screen I want to show you is that here, if you have other classes, previous semesters, and you don't want them to be listed, because obviously this, and I shouldn't say obviously because maybe it's not, but this is where your courses will be listed. So I'm just going to come in here, I'm going to click here, and then I can tell it to display or not other things, other courses, previous stuff that I've had. All right, so I'm going to go back just so you can see that. Now let's come into the course. And then here, this is where, you know, this class, you're going to take this class through Blackboard. And you might wonder, you know, if I'm setting in my class, meaning my face-to-face students, how is their experience than my online students? Well, really, it's not very much different. And really, there's going to be few things that are different. Most things are the same. You guys complete your work in Blackboard. You go through the to-do list, which at this point you've already seen. You've hopefully got a feel for. You know how this thing works, which is the to-do list. You know how to look at contents, because this shows you a list of all the things. It gives you the due dates when they're due. Very important. And then you can either move through, go to which one you want, or as I've said in the first one, it's really important to know, you know, that I generally expect you to go through these in the order listed. Let me go back, having said that, to here. There's a little write-up on here that talks about some work is going to be done in different areas. Okay, so we'll as we go through this first week, you'll see, and hopefully you'll learn a lot about this class through the exercises, and you'll get a real feel for what kind of work we're going to do. All right, so let me just keep going through. I want to see this. Now notice something. I don't know if you notice this, so let me do it again. Let me go back to the main course by clicking here. Notice I was in the to-dos, the to-do questions. So if you have a question, it's important that you ask. Thing I want you to know about that, and I'll divert just for a moment here and we'll go back to that, is that we're going to do what's called a shared discussion board. Okay, so the first time you come in here, and I say this down here, you're going to have to enroll in this shared course. And what do I mean by that? Is I have 4 classes of CIT12 this semester. Okay, and so that all those students, whether they be face-to-face or online, will be asking questions in the same discussion board. And discussion boards are an important part of experiencing this class. So let me just show you this. Click to enter. The first time you do this, you'll get this message. You'll click to enroll, and that's it. You've enrolled now. Now at this point, let's see, do we get, yeah, I had to scroll down here. I used my scroll wheel. I clicked OK, and then that put me, and there's your CIT to-do class, to-do questions. Now at this point, you've actually, believe it or not, changed courses. You're actually in a course called CIT Waller to-do list questions. And to do the work, right, you need to go back to your course that you're in. It's just when you ask questions that it's shared amongst all of the courses. So once you've asked your question, you can come back here. And what you will also see, good to know, okay, is that what you also see is that class will now be listed here as well. So if you ever just want to go right in and ask a question, you can do that. Otherwise, you would click into here and then you would do the work. All right, so the other thing I want to show you here is that there is a hide course menu. So this is our course menu. That's what it's called. This is how you navigate and find the different things. And for whatever reason, if this happens to happen that you accidentally or on purpose click this, that will go away. Okay, and if you'll notice when you're in to-dos and you click into week 1, it actually goes away as well. So know that you can navigate back here. All right, last thing I'll finish up, because I try to keep these relatively short, is how to change your password. You come up to MySpaces, and then you can say personal information, and then in here you can change your password. I will be talking about during the semester why you want to do that, how you're going to do that, and thinking about the importance of passwords and changing them in strong passwords. But I just wanted you to know for now where that's located. So I've clicked back on the start page. So most of the time when you're working around Blackboard, you're coming to here, getting into a class, and then coming back and maybe getting into another class. All right, guys, we'll move on to the next video.